Hiya. So I hope all of you executed this particular code, starting code, basic hello world program by using C sharp. Now, so we are going to understand actually what is a namespace. Okay. So and then here, actually namespace is a collection of classes. Namespace is a collection of classes. So here you can able to observe. So when you execute this program, you can able to observe this namespace console app1. So this is the name of the namespace. Under this namespace, we have created one class. So what is the class? Program. Okay. So class is a keyword which is used to create classes in the C sharp program. Now program is the name of the class. So this is only one class which is available under the console app1 namespace. Now I can create one more class here, right? So this is the end. This is the close curly brace for this particular class. So body of the program class started here and end of the program class is here. Now I can create one more class here, class. So here you can skip this because this is a default, right? So your C sharp is going to consider a default access modifier for class, right, which is internal, right? So then public and internal are the access modifiers for the class. We are going to discuss about what an access modifier can do, but you can skip that. Now you can able to create one more class inside of your namespace. Now, so your program you can choose your own name for your class. Okay, so I will go with the class like program 2. The class name is program 2. You can choose your own name here. Okay, so then opening the body and closing the body and close the namespace. Now here, how many classes we have under the namespace console app? 2 classes. So with this, what we can say? So namespace is a collection of classes. Okay, so we can able to reuse the code which is written in one class in the another class. So mainly object oriented programming focuses on code reusability with some features like inheritance, polymorphism, data abstraction, data encapsulation, right? So everything we are going to discuss the object oriented programming features. Now this is about the namespace collection of classes. Okay, then after that already how the .NET is going to get execute your program or going to get execute your application. So that's what we are going to discuss now. So okay, so now we will understand how the .NET application will get executed. So now this is called as common language infrastructure. Okay, so then how .NET applications are being executed by the .NET means, so first of all, we are going to write the source code for any application. It may be mobile or it may be console or it may be any kind of machine learning or IoT or web, whatever it is. First of all, we need to write the source code, right? So this is source code we are going to write by using a programming language. So already I said, so .NET will use C sharp as the programming language to implement applications. Now, the highest priority is for C sharp and the next priority is for Visual Basic Programming Language. After that you can use different kinds of programming language like Java, Python and C++ can also be used. Okay, so then we know in common languages also we have like grammar. So communication languages, if you consider Telugu, Hindi, English, right? So then Telugu, for example, I have a story. So that story can be written in Telugu language. The same story can be written in English. The same story can be written in Hindi. But whenever you are switching from one language to other language, story will not differ. The content of the story remains same. But what differs? There is a grammar difference. Now, if you want to write Telugu, you should know, you should follow the grammar rules of Telugu. You should use letters of the Telugu. Then English, you should follow grammar of the English. You should use letters in the English. In the same way for Hindi, but content is not going to change. Story will not change. Here also the same thing. We can able to write the code in C sharp, in VB language, in J sharp or in C++. But what you need to follow? You need to follow syntax rules. Okay. So syntax of C sharp you need to follow if you want to use C sharp programming language to write the code. In the same way, every programming language is having its own syntax rules, right? So but how .NET is going to categorize different syntaxes into one? So then it is having a CLS. what it is called as common language specification. Common language specification. In this common language specification, right, they have given common types for all, common type system, CTS, common type system. In this CTS, right, so categorization, all the syntaxes of all the programming languages, what you can use with the .NET, all the syntaxes are categorized into one type which is defined inside of the CLS, right? So for example, in C#, integer numbers will be defined with the name int, and in VB, Visual Basic Programming Language, the name is integer. The name is integer. Now, commonly for these two types, the common name in the C# in the .NET is int32. So not only this one, so like this, there is a common specification for classes, objects, and different concepts which are there in the object-oriented programming, because .NET uses only OOP type of programming language which can be used to implement the applications. Okay, so first what will happen after writing the source code, right, by making use of the compiler of that particular programming language, now .NET is going to generate one particular code, right, which will be in this format, okay, which will follow .NET standards, now which is defined by the CLS, common language specification. Now all the data types, all the classes will be converted into a specific common type, so by making use of the predefined things in the .NET. Now that code is called as MSIL code, Microsoft Intermediate Language Code, MSIL, Microsoft Intermediate Language Code. First this code will get generated, right? So when you first time you compile it, so and then after that this MSIL code contains the data types defined by the .NET, right? Your code is going to get converted from the syntax of that particular programming language to the common syntax which is defined by the .NET. And then after that, that MSIL code will be fed to CLR when you execute your program. Okay, when you execute your program, now that code will fed to the CLR. What is CLR? So common language runtime. So to execute programs we require a runtime like a compiler, right? So then here the thing is, so any application if you implement with the .NET, that application is going to executed by the heart of the .NET, which is CLR. So common language runtime. This is execution engine for all .NET application, whether it is mobile or web or console, whatever it is, that application is going to get executed by CLR. So CLR is having some components. CLR is having some components to perform that task, right? So now, however, we know processor of any machine will understand only binary information, which is called as byte code, right? So we need to generate, right? .NET will generate that byte code of that application by using CLR. So such a type of component in the CLR is JIT compiler. JIT compiler. So we know already what is the purpose of compiler. So compiler in any programming language is used to generate binary code which needs to be executed by the processor by the English code, what you are going to write. Okay, source code we will call it as. Now, so this MSIL code will be converted into machine code, or simply we can call it as the byte code also, which can be understandable by the processor. Now, this process will be taken care by the component inside of the CLR is JIT compiler. Now, JIT compiler will convert your MSIL code into machine code, which is understandable by the processor, and processor will execute this particular code, and thereby the actions will be performed. Right. So this is what the common language infrastructure of the .NET, right? So along with the JIT compiler, so many components are involved to make a smooth execution of your application, like class loader, memory manager, garbage collector, JIT compiler, and exception manager, thread manager, and what you can say, security manager. So all these are the different components involved are there inside of the CLR to execute your application, right? So we are going to discuss about the object oriented programming concepts in the next class.